Hello. I want to welcome you to graduation ceremony for the class of 2019. Go ahead and let's give them a little early applause. Thank you. So I'm so happy and excited to see so many beautiful acorns out in the audience. Thank you for coming out and supporting. It's really wonderful. And I want to welcome all the families and siblings and primary parents who've come out to kind of see what our mission is really all about. So thank you very much for that. It's the time of year where I reflect on our mission. And I ask myself, are we living out our mission? Is our mission apparent in our students, in our graduates? And I wanted to just read to you what Association Montessori International says is their mission: to support the natural development of the human being from birth to maturity, enabling children to become the transforming elements of society, leading to a harmonious and peaceful world. I know in my heart we are living out our mission. So proud of you all. The Butler Montessori Intermediates are going to perform Have It All.
When I think of the past school year, I realize how quickly everything went by. I will never forget how strong we made our bond this year. We always did activities that included everyone, and it always ended up being a lot of fun. In the beginning of the year, we went to Ohio in Pennsylvania for our fall trip. There, we learned to trust each other more, and it was a big icebreaker for our community. Later in the year, we went to New York City for the immigration study in Montessori Model United Nations. For the immigration study, we split up in groups and we studied the immigration history of a particular nationality. We slept in a hostel, which was really fun, and the class was able to see what life is like for the immigrants in the city. After the immigration study, we transitioned to the MMUN conference, which was very helpful for my public speaking. We talked about world issues and solutions that will be helpful to those global problems. Once we wrote a complete resolution, it was sent to the United Nations to be looked over and put into action. About a month later, we started to work hard on the play Aladdin. Even though Jasmine was sick for the first show, her understudy stepped in and we did great. We also had a second show that went just as well. Overall, this year has been the best year at Butler Montessori I have ever had. We had great classes, great teachers, but what really surprised me was how this class was such a tightly knit community. We would do anything for each other. If a classmate were feeling down, the rest of the class always helps. Everyone here is part of the community, so without further ado, let's start the speeches.
Congratulations, Dex, on graduating from Butler Montessori. I want to begin this speech from last summer, when I had the chance to get to know Dex better. Miss Downer paired us up to lay garlic on a rug in the basement. Right when we went downstairs, I asked Dex what we were supposed to do, and at the exact same moment, he asked the same thing to me. Eventually, we decided that we should lay the garlic down on the ground, and worst case scenario, we would just pick them up and do something else with them. I put them down gently and made sure each one had enough space to dry. While doing so, I look to my right and see Dex taking garlic from the bucket and violently throwing it onto the ground like it was a sack of potatoes. This is where I got to know Dex as a person, and I learned that I can always count on him to make me laugh while doing work. I know that I will remember Dex for a very long time. My favorite part about being in the same class as him is how unpredictable he can be. Sometimes he will joke around and tease me, and other times he will kindly ask if I would like a grade. This is just how Dex is. He's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. I'm going to miss Dex so much next year. I will miss our teasing, our playing, our bonding, and more. I'm sure he will fit in at Poolsville High School next year. It has been an amazing year with the great friends who got me through it. Thank you and good luck in high school. Please welcome Declan O'Brien.
I entered the classroom on the first day of school, honestly expecting this year to be slow and uneventful, but I was very, very wrong. This year was possibly the best and most memorable of my life. I've had many accomplishments this year, such as my first experience with a management position and responsibility as microeconomy manager. I also got into the Poolsville Humanities program and gained many new friendships while bettering the ones I had before. I came to Butler 5 years ago, along with a flood of new students. My third grade experience wasn't the best, so coming to fourth grade here was pretty much the best thing ever. I don't recall this very well, but according to Zach, on my first day of school, I was so nervous I was shaking, and then by the end of the day, I was just as comfortable as I was at my old school. The years just got better from there, but none were comparable to my final two in the intermediate program. I learned so much here that I likely never would have if I had gone somewhere else these past 2 years. between trips to New York and California, the many plays, and the farming experiences provided by the intermediate program, my knowledge and appreciation of the world has grown to a level fourth grade me never would have thought possible. Earlier this year, we took a class trip to New York City, where we learned how to navigate through the city using only a map. It was difficult, and at one point my group walked 20-something blocks in the wrong direction. But eventually we got the hang of it, and we were able to not get lost for a whole day. We also got to see the diversity in wealth, from seeing the five-star hotels and stores with nothing costing less than $1,000, to the next day hearing a homeless woman's life story about how she lost her job and can't feed her family because she hasn't gotten her unemployment check quite yet. It's sad, but it's the world. And it's the important life lessons that Butler teaches that other schools don't. I'm very grateful that Butler has taught us how to thrive in this harsh world. At the end of my 7th grade year, the class hopped on a plane and flew to California as a final trip to end the year. There we studied the biology of the redwood forest and the concept of peace and what it means. It was honestly like a dream. There wasn't a second when I wasn't having an absolute blast. There I was able to experience the wonder that is the redwood forest and do detailed research into its ecosystem, as well as being able to spend time with my best friends in a near-perfect place. My time there really brought me close to my classmates and solidified friendships I'm now certain I will keep for years to come. Ever since 4th grade, I've had the privilege to participate in the annual Butler School play. From my first play ever, The Little Mermaid, where I played the fabulous role of Chef Number Whatever, to my most recent role as Jafar, the ugly bad dude. I always had fun working together with my friends to perfect the play the day of the performance and then proceed to scream the songs through the halls on our way to our next class. Without the plays, I wouldn't have had as good and memorable a time at Butler as I did. My favorite part of the plays, of course, was always going to Cold Stone after each play to celebrate and reconnect with old friends who I hadn't seen in far too long. I don't know why, but the taste of a little bit of makeup mixed in with my ice cream always instilled in me the sense of triumph. The thing I'll miss most about Butler, however, isn't the trips or the plays, it's the people. It's Adam and Landon belting their lungs out in between classes. It's Andrew and me collapsing on a pile of pillows after an exhausting game of basketball. It's Amara generously supplying gum to the class to help us focus. I could go on with the little instances that make me happy to wake up for school each and every morning, because if even one member of the class was missing, my day wouldn't be as enjoyable as if they were there. So without further ado, I'd like to proceed to the most commonplace part of the speech, the thank yous. Firstly, of course, I'd like to thank my parents for working so hard to send me to this school. Because you could have bought like a Corvette or something, but instead you chose this place for college. Which is a gift for which I'm eternally grateful. Then I can't go any further without thanking each and every teacher that has taught me here. For without you, I wouldn't have accomplished and learned the many things I did in my time at Butler. Finally, I'd like to thank all of my classmates for always having my back and going with me on this journey. I owe who I am and who will become to this place, and I know I'll be coming back to visit as often as I can, no matter how many times I joke about never coming back. I know many of us will follow separate paths and slowly drift farther apart, but it's the memories I have made here that will always be ones I look back on when I'm feeling down until the day I die. So thank you all for shaping me into who I am today. Thank you.
How do you describe someone who has been in your life for so long? While writing this, I thought and cried over the thought of having to say goodbye to someone who truly has been in my life for so many years. I didn't think it would be this hard. Simone Thompson is a smiling, funny, athletic, and loyal person. Anytime you see her, she always has a smile on her face and will try to make you laugh, even when she knows she probably shouldn't. A few years ago, Simone and I came up with nicknames for each other. I would call her my king, and she would call me her queen. Ever since then, we've both called each other just that. It's hard to think of Butler without Simone, as this has been her home for so long. It is a place where she has grown into the beautiful individual she is, a place where she found her love for sports, a place where she found her forever friends, but most importantly, a place where she found her family. even if sometimes she won't admit it. I don't know how next year is going to be without having her familiar smile to greet me every morning or seeing her mouth the lyrics to the music she listens to. But one thing I do know is that she's going to stay the amazing person she is forever. So we wish you good luck at Good Counsel, and without further ado, I give you Simone Thompson.
I'll be honest, I really did not want to write this speech. I had rehearsed it a few times in my shower off the top of my head, but once I actually had to write it on paper, it was just work. Anyways, my name is Simone Thompson, as Megan mentioned. I am one of the 3 Thompsons that graduated from Butler Montessori, and I am also the last one to graduate. All 3 of us have been going to this school for the past 18 years, and it's hard to finally say goodbye. I've been attending Butler Montessori for almost my whole life, since I was 2 years old. I don't remember my first day, but then again, I don't remember much from my primary years, besides the fact that I met my best friend, Amar, who also managed to stick out the past 12 years here with me. Other than that, I only remember a few other things. For example, I remember getting in trouble for the first time. I poured water on my face because I wanted to be like the boys who sweat a lot. Eventually, Amar and I got caught, and we had to sit in the naughty chair for the rest of the day. Some other things I can remember from my early years are beating everyone in races, coloring, painting, and the pink tower. In lower elementary, the most depressing thing that could have ever occurred to me happened. I was separated from Amara. I managed to make it to the 2nd grade where I met my other best friends, Lara and Kahan. These 2 were my partners in crime, and we also got in trouble quite a bit with Mrs. Manick as our teacher. Then, in 3rd grade, the 2 lower elementary classes merged together, and I was reunited with my bestie again, Amar. In upper elementary, there were many ups and downs. I learned what drama was and how to handle it. Ugh, girls. I went to the zoo quite a few times for going outs. Finally, 6th grade came, and I was back at the top of the class. This was the year I got really close with Amara, Kahan, Jordan, Landon, and Jeanette. These were the other people in the class that were going to MMUN with me for the first time ever at Butler. Kahan was my partner, and we were a great team. In 6th grade, I learned how to help the younger students by peer editing their writing and giving advice when needed. One of the most stressful times in my life was the week before 7th grade. I was so nervous about how everything was going to be in the intermediates and being in the same class with all of my friends again. But when I got to school, it was as if summer had never happened. We instantly bonded and became an inseparable family and community. My first year in the intermediates was amazing. We went to New York City, I went to MMUN for the 2nd time, Camp Friendship, and even California. I bonded and became very close with everyone in my class, including my teachers. I would go out at recess and play basketball with the boys, and then come back in, talk, and have fun with the girls. The memories that I have made in the intermediates are memories that I will never forget. Finally, it's time for my thank yous. I would like to thank all of my teachers that have filled me with knowledge, whether I think I will use it in the real world or not. Starting with Mrs. Wolf and Mrs. Patton. Thank you for teaching me how to wash my hands and put on a coat. Thank you to Mrs. Manick for not only being the current principal of the school, but for teaching me how to act in my 1st and 2nd grade years. Thank you to Mrs. Wilson for teaching me how to use materials and preparing me for the intermediates. Thank you to Mrs. Downer for teaching me how to manage the garden, greenhouse, and grow room. Thank you to Senora Castillo for being the best Spanish teacher I could have asked for. Thank you to Mrs. Daly for being such an amazing 8th grade math teacher. You can even make algebra fun. Thank you to my girl, Ms. Rod, for teaching me humanities, lit circle, English, and for being a friend when I need someone to talk to. Thank you to the queen herself, Miss Bradley. I will always love you, even when you surprise us with a pop test. Thank you for waiting all these years to retire just so we could leave together. Thank you to Mr. Wilson for being such a cool guy, and I will miss doing our handshake together every time I see you. Thank you to Mrs. Madalena for teaching me music in such a creative way. Thank you to Mrs. Madsen for amazing and wonderful art classes. Thank you to Mr. Powers for being such an amazing and funny guy and for calling me Bigfoot or Johnny during supper. And of course, thank you for coming to my graduation. On to my classmates, the people who have helped guide and shape me into the person I am today. Thank you to Andrew, Dex, and Wyatt for being such good friends and for laughing at my hilarious jokes that no one else thinks are funny. Thank you to Megan, Akoma, and Jeanette for being my go-to girls when I need to rant about something. Thank you to Kehan, Landon, and Jordan for being some of the funniest and most unique people I know. Love you guys. Thank you to my faves, Adam and Eitan. Whenever I need a hug or someone to walk around the whole campus with while eating cake, I can always count on Adam. And whenever I want to goof around or eat the cookie dough with someone, I will always go to Eitan first. Thank you to my mom and dad for putting up with me and for making me do the things I don't want to do. Thank you to my 2 older brothers who have toughened me up and for coming here tonight. I know it took mom a few tries to get you out the door. I would also like to thank my second mom and dad, Mr. and Mrs. Mirza, for the countless times you have picked me up and for letting me stay at your crib. Thanks to Omer and Abil for also taking me home and for buying me food. For my final thank you, I would like to thank my absolute best friend, who has been with me for a full 14 years. And even though we've had our disagreements, we've still managed to become friends again. And it's not only because there's 8 kids in our grade. I love you, Amara Mirza, and I wish you and the rest of our 8th grade class the best in high school. Butler has taught me many life skills that a public school wouldn't, such as learning to cook every Wednesday for community lunch, how to take care of chickens, how to use a weed whacker, how to catch a snake, how to ride a horse, how to plan a trip with an itinerary in English and Spanish, and how to disagree with someone politely. I would not be the person I am today without Butler. Thank you.
Andrew's sense of humor and quick wit is an integral part of our intermediate community. He loves cooking, drawing, and telling jokes. His art skills are part of what made the Aladdin backdrop so amazing. He also makes delicious rosemary cookies for a farmer's market. And the smell of his bread cooking in the kitchen always makes his ancient spirits come out of the oven. Andrew always has a kind word for everyone. His skills as an indoor manager make the entire community run smoothly. It requires a high level of organization, and Andrew makes it look easy. This was Andrew's first year traveling to MMU1, and I really enjoy hanging out and practicing our speeches together. He did a great job representing Butler. I will miss our little group hanging out at lunch and playing basketball, but I know that Andrew will find something new and exciting challenges at Northwest. Please welcome Andrew Cho.
I've dreaded this moment for so long. I didn't want to leave Butler after going to it for so long. I guess I've grown an attachment to Butler itself at school. My first two school experiences were a little crazy, but Butler was different. At Butler, the teachers really care about the students, and there's a connection to nature here. Butler is a great school to be at because the teachers support you and you can enjoy nature instead of being stuck inside all day. All I remember from my first year at Butler is that I came to 4th grade in upper elementary in 2014. The reason I came is because the 2 other schools I went to were bad, and I knew that Dex and Jeanette from my first school both went to Butler. I met Dex again, and eventually I met DJ and Zach. We were close friends and would hang out with each other for 4 years. We would play role-playing games, hang out in the woods, and if we could, we would sit together every day. I used to host hangouts at my school with DJ, Zach, at my house, with DJ, Zach, and Dex. I would eat lots of junk food, play video games, and wrestle. Most of upper elementary was great because I had them as friends. Being part of intermediates was an interesting time in my life because when I reached 7th grade and the intermediates, Zach was already in the intermediates, so I was excited to be in the same class as him. I liked intermediates compared to upper elementary because the work was engaging and fun, and the teacher would always help you if you were behind. The teachers would make sure that we understood everything. This was especially important when preparing for the peace study in California and the immigration study in New York City. The California trip was a great experience because it helped me work through a lot of issues, and it was fun to be able to be in California with my class. I collected a lot of souvenirs there, like rocks, charcoal, and from redwood trees. I also remember playing on the beach, which ended with me burying myself in the sand and having a bucket put on my head. Like California, the New York trip was exciting. During our time in New York, it was cool to stay overnight and eat really good food. My favorite thing I saw was art in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They had a medieval armor exhibit that Dex and I really enjoyed. I love art, so it was the highlight of the trip for me. I will never forget accidentally leading my group 20 blocks away from my destination. Yeah, that was me. Through this experience, I learned how to use maps better. While in New York, I also went to MMU1 for the first time, and I enjoyed giving my speech to my committee. Both trips were exciting experiences that I'll never forget. Another thing that I'll never forget about Butler is how connected it is to nature. During recess, I like to walk down to the pond and just relax. I like being in a place where it's not as noisy, and I can just be in nature. When I was in Upper L, we used to go down to the creek and play tag. It was nice to be playing in the forest with my friends. It's also nice to be able to go to nature at Butler, because at my house, I don't spend time in nature that much. When you go to the park or trail, there are lots of people around, hiking and biking. What I like about the forest at Butler is that it's quiet and not as crowded as places, public places. I can think more clearly when I'm alone with my thoughts in nature. I've always been worried about going to high school ever since I started going to Butler, because I was expecting to go to a high school where none of my friends were going. However, next year, I'll be going to Northwest High School, and I'm feeling good about it because I have friends who go there. It'll be nice to have a change of scenery, and I'm excited to have a new place to explore. I've been going to Butler for 5 years, and it's the school I've been to the longest. I'd like to thank my teachers, friends, and my mom for supporting me during my time at Butler. Even though I've dreaded this moment for so long, I can finally say that I'm excited and ready to go to school, high school. Thank you.
At the beginning of this year, I think Kayhan is the person who made me feel most welcome. As soon as the year started, Kayhan helped us transition into the intermediates as if we had always been there. He's always making jokes and is ready to play a game. This past year, I've had a lot of fun with Kayhan, playing park house hide and seek or helping him find hiding places to scare Jeanette. No matter what we're doing, he's always ready to make a joke and get everybody laughing. He loves playing games outside like soccer, ball tag, foot tennis, or basketball. Most of the time you see him, he has a soccer ball or a volleyball with him and is ready to play catch. He's easygoing and funny and always makes class interesting. Throughout the year, Kayhan has cheered people up with his funny comments. He is always there if you need a friend to talk to and to rant about the next test coming up. Kayhan is a great leader and taught me a lot of what I know about the greenhouse. Whenever I had a question, he was there to answer it and show me the ropes when we were working. He was a great greenhouse manager, and I will miss the days working with him. We will miss his cheerful and funny personality, and I will always remember what I have learned from him. Please welcome Kayhan Bati.
After spending most of my life here, I am sad to leave, but I am ready and excited to move on. 8 years ago, I came to Butler Montessori, and I have so many great memories. Tonight will be my last memory attending this amazing school. Some of my first memories here at Butler were the hikes. We would go on many hikes in my lower elementary class. Some days we would spend the whole afternoon exploring this beautiful campus. We would build dams in the creeks, we would play games, but most importantly, we were outside. This is one thing that I love about Butler. We aren't in classrooms sitting all day. We also have the freedom to be outside. When I got to upper elementary, I had walked every path and seen every inch of land on campus. Then we were introduced to something new, the plays. Every year we would have a play, and these plays were some of my fondest memories. We would work on them throughout the year, rehearsing the songs, working on the dances, and preparing our blocking. Not only did these plays teach us how to act, sing, and dance. But more importantly, we learn to work together and pull off some amazing shows. After hearing about it for 6 years, I was so excited to finally be attending the intermediate program. Though we had some homework to do, I quickly found out how fun the intermediates could be. We did fun projects, worked on the farm, and went on trips. In fact, the last 2 years of my time here at Butler were my favorite. I will never forget the experiences I've had in the intermediate program and at this school. These memories would not have been possible if it weren't for the people who helped me along the way. I would like to thank all of my teachers, including Miss Matson, Miss Manick, Miss Wilson, Senora Castillo, Miss Daly, Miss Bradford, Miss Madalena, Miss Rodwin, Miss Downer, and Mr. Powers. I would also like to thank my friends and family. I would like to give a special thanks to my mom and dad for sending me to this amazing school. I owe so much to Butler. This is the place where I have grown up and spent my childhood. I am who I am because of Butler, and I couldn't imagine going to school anywhere else. Thank you.
Looking back on this year, I could not imagine what it would have been like without Amara. I'm so used to coming to school and seeing her with Simone, laughing and joking around, making everybody around her laugh and feel happy. Amara has that effect on people, as she always brightens up your day. She's always there to cheer you up and make you smile. She constantly makes everyone around her happy. Whether it's by making a funny comment while we're watching a movie or joking around in class, she always makes you laugh and feel at home. Amara is the one who holds our stuff when we're playing games, cheers us on, and watches us to make sure no one gets hurt. I sometimes like to refer to her as the class mom. If you ever need to talk to someone or need a hug or just need some gum, Amara is the person to go to. She's always there for you when you need her. Next year will not be the same without her, and I will always remember this year as one of the best years of my life thanks to her. Thank you, Amara, for constantly making everyone around you smile and for making our Butler family complete. I now give you Amara Mirza.
Hello everyone, how are you doing? As Akoma mentioned before, my name is Amar Mirza, but I'm not here to give a speech. The reason I'm here is to tell you a story. Close your eyes and picture a young girl. Well, she's not young anymore, but we all have to grow up someday. Anyways, it was this girl's first day at school, ever. And surprisingly, there were no tears. She just so happened to be one of the only children with a smile on her face. She entered this new world with open eyes, and her journey began. Keep in mind that no one is ever complete without a partner in crime, and that's where Simone Thompson comes in. Soon after that, the girls were inseparable. Now would be a good time to tell you that the girl's name is Amara Mirza. Fast forward to lower elementary, where I learned things like subtraction, multiplication, and that Miss Wilson would be my upper elementary teacher again. Yay! And just like that, I was a fourth year at Butler Montessori. Crazy how time flies, right? Fourth grade was one of the best years of my life. It was the year I managed to make not only one, but two friends. Laura Tatarian and Emma Pham. Just like every year at Butler, it flew by. And there I was in sixth grade, worrying about how the intermediates would go. I was so used to doing things on my own time, and I was so used to seeing Miss Wilson first thing in the morning. But most importantly, I was used to having no homework. But then summer came and went, and it was time to grow up. Being an intermediate was nothing like I thought it was going to be. After the first couple of weeks, I got the hang of homework and my new teachers. But being in the intermediates turned out to be more than just new teachers and homework to me. I was held accountable for the things that I did, and I was given a lot more freedom to express myself here. Even though some people might feel the opposite, I feel that the teachers are more hands-on in the intermediates. We have a schedule and classes that we have to get to, so the teachers are focused on helping us improve so we are ready for the next year or high school. In the intermediates, the idea of community has been talked about more than any other time in my Butler experience. To me, I feel very strongly that being a part of the intermediate community is like having a whole new family. We are always there for each other and try to support each other, even when we are being a little annoying. No matter how hard it gets, I know that they will always come back to me, and I will always come back to them. It's been a long ride here at Butler Montessori for me, but I couldn't have done it without so many people. I would like to start off by thanking my primary teachers, Mrs. Wolf and Mrs. Patney, for starting my Butler experience in such a positive way. Thank you to Mrs. Dave for being an amazing lower elementary assistant teacher and always letting me sit and read to her, because I had no one else to sit with. Thanks to Mrs. Wilson for the incredible education she was able to give me as my lower and upper elementary teacher. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Matson for making every art class the best it could be and never giving up on me when I was having a difficult time. I would like to thank Ms. Manick for being a wonderful principal. Thank you to Mrs. Pelkey for being my Butler mom and always taking care of me. Thank you to Mrs. Downer for always spreading such positive energy at 8:30 every morning. Thanks to Mrs. Madalena for always putting up with me and being the best music teacher I could have ever asked for. I would like to thank Mrs. Daly for always helping me with any questions I had and being the best 8th grade math teacher I've ever had. To Ms. Rodwin, thanks for being there not only as the amazing humanities and language arts teacher you are, but as a friend if I ever needed to talk to you. To Senora, thank you for not only being the best Spanish teacher to ever exist, but also for always encouraging me to do better. I would like to thank Miss Bradford for being one of the funniest people I've ever met. And always bringing laughter into a room and teaching every student with love and an open mind. Additionally, I would like to thank Mr. Powers for coming to our graduation this year. And also pushing us and never letting us give up, whether it's physically or in our normal lives. So I'm going to miss you, man. To my older brothers, Omar and Nabil, you guys have annoyed me and made me cry so many times it's hard to count. But I love you guys, and you guys make me a better person, so thanks. We're almost done, just a few people left, I promise. There are two people in the audience that I want to thank, my mom and my dad. You guys are my parents and I love you. 18 years ago, you enrolled Omar in this school, and 18 years later, here I am graduating. It is because of you guys choosing Butler that I am who I am. I've had the experiences I've had, and that I have the friends that I have. Which reminds me of the people behind me. To Wyatt and Andrew, thanks for always making jokes and being great friends. To Megan, Akoma, and Jeanette, thank you for being here for me and listening to me talk and talk when no one else wanted to. I love you guys. Next up, Dex, Landon, Kahan, and Jordan. You guys are my besties. You guys are incredibly talented, smart, and funny, and I know my Butler experience would never be the same if I hadn't met you guys. So thank you. Thank you to my younger brothers I never had. Adam and Eitan, you guys have the ability to light up my day with so much as a smile from Adam or a joke from Eitan. Lastly, I'd like to thank my bestest friend in the entire universe for putting up with me for 14 years. It has not been easy. We've gotten into fights I never thought we'd get out of, but here we are, graduating. I started my Butler experience with you, and we're ending it together too. So thank you to my best friend, my almost sister, Mom Thompson. Now the Butler chapter in the book called Amara's Life is over. Well, maybe not over. Maybe a page has been folded. so I can always visit it, but it's done for now. I'm not only leaving Butler with a diploma, but with memories that make me smile, enough to last a whole lifetime. I truly believe that my time at Butler has made me a better person, and also want to be a better person. And that is something that is truly irreplaceable. Thank you.
Landon Fiery is probably the nicest person I've ever met. He constantly puts others before himself, no matter what the situation is. Along with being one of the nicest people I know, he is also one of the smartest. He went from being the shy new kid to the confident 8th grader you see before you. You can always know when Landon is coming because he is always singing. He is very talented, whether it's acting in the school play as Aladdin or playing sports with the rest of the class. This class would not be the same without Landon and his iconic hair, which are just parts of who he is. Without Landon, the class isn't the same. He's always there if you need anything. He truly cares about all his friends. Though this silly, fun, smart, and talented individual is ready to leave this wonderful place called Butler, we wish him good luck at Poolsville High School. Please welcome to the stage, Landon Fiery.
Well, the day has finally come. The day that I've been dreading for 5 years. The day where I have to leave. The day where I have to move on. A difficult task for me. Today, I have to graduate. I've always loved school and learning. A passion that was fostered during my 6 years at a school called Academy of the Child. I spent my primary and lower elementary years there. Years that I will always remember. There, I was introduced to Montessori, the only form of education that I have ever known. They taught me how to write in cursive using sandpaper letters, write stories with the movable alphabet, do simple addition and subtraction. But most importantly for me, Academy taught me how to read. Nothing impressive, just little paperback booklets. But over those 3 years, I progressed through nearly every single booklet in the class. I even went into the older classes to get the higher level books, since there were no unread books left in my class. Needless to say, I love reading. I spent plenty of time on the materials, but most of it was spent reading. My lower elementary years were similar, even though I was in a class with 1st through 6th graders. I started writing reports, making my way through several math books with my friends, and got countless interesting lessons. But similar to primary, I spent most of my time reading. One entire wall was covered with bookshelves, and over the 3 years in that class, I read the majority of them. I found reading easy, and more importantly, fun. Even now, with my life much more occupied, I spend a lot of time listening to audiobooks, still trying to hear as many stories as I can. But like my time at Butler, like all good things, it had to end. Years of diminishing student population had caused Academy of the Child to close. I was devastated, thinking that there was nothing that could ever even compare to my 6 years there. There was some good news though. There was another Montessori school, someplace called Butler. There were some former Academy students who had gone there, and a few of my other classmates were going, meaning we would all be in the same class. So I went and visited. I remember that when I came to Shadow, some of the first people I met were Zach, DJ, Amara, and Simone, who showed me around and gave me a lesson. I remember doing a science experiment with Mr. Lang and playing Gaga Ball at recess. I came home annoying my parents with stories about that day. I wouldn't stop telling them that the school had a pool, horses, a garden, chickens, and 22 acres to explore. I enrolled for the next school year not too long after. Upper elementary was kind of similar to lower elementary, in the classroom at least. We still had all the same materials, similar lessons, and freedom. I made new friends, which was easy because everyone in the class was always together. There was a lot of new stuff though. Ropes courses, a pretty awesome thing to have at a school. Horses, a pool, and a creek. There were also new classes: music, PE, Spanish, and art. These were classes that I had known about, but never before experienced. PE was like a second recess, and that meant that everyone loved it. closest thing to a language class we had at Academy was translating papers from Latin to English. And while Latin can be useful in some circumstances, it was nice to start learning a language that is actually still spoken. Art was another new class that I was somewhat familiar with, but in these classes we learned more techniques than I had ever known existed. We also now had music, and in music we had plays. I had done plays before with Academy, but those small shows barely prepared me for the magnitude of Butler plays. Musicals were another new thing, and the amount of time spent preparing for these shows was staggering. But the work clearly pays off, and preparing for these plays are some of my fondest memories. Upper elementary passed quickly, and soon it was time for what I was really waiting for, the intermediates. I had heard stories about the intermediates for years. These kids were just about as cool as you could be at Butler. They went on trips to places all over, from New York City to California and even Costa Rica. They had time dedicated to specific classes, and they had homework. I know it's weird, but I had dreamed about getting homework my entire time at school. It may have been fostered from my reading Harry Potter, in which several chapters were devoted to them doing homework. But no matter how many times I read books about kids doing homework, I don't know if I ever would have expected the sheer magnitude and complexity of the homework that intermediates gives. The number of projects and papers that I have done in these 2 years alone are probably more than anyone would want to count. But still, after all the hours of homework, I still love it. A fact that my sister still makes fun of me for. It may sound strange, but I love school and all of the work that goes with it. All of the countless hours spent studying and writing chapter reviews, all of the late nights spent putting together poster board presentations. I loved every second of it, even if I didn't realize it. I feel like the intermediate program is the crowning jewel of Butler, the golden capstone. Nothing can compare to it because it's in its own league. I've loved every single second of my time here. And the fact that I have to leave, the fact that in just a few minutes the best thing that has ever happened to me is going to be over, is almost too much to take in. But this amazing journey wasn't able to be accomplished alone. Butler may be an amazing place, but it's the people that make Butler what it is. Without the people, Butler is just a bunch of woods and a few buildings haphazardly spread around the campus. But with the people, Butler is more than just a school. It's the closest thing to a home you'll ever find. Because of the people, you want to come back every day. Because of the people, you try to do your hardest. And because of the people, you don't want to leave, even hours after school has ended. And these people deserve to be recognized. I want to start off by thanking the intermediate class, both this year and last year, for everything, for making my experience here that much better. I would like to thank my teachers, Miss Wilson, Miss Matson, Mr. Powers, Miss Downer, Senora, Miss Daly, Miss Bradford, Miss Rogers, and Miss Madalena. I thank you all. I would like to thank Miss Manick for letting me come to school here. I would like to thank my parents, not just for being my parents, but for staying up through the late nights, supporting me no matter what, and enrolling me in this truly amazing school. I would like to thank my sister for being the best competition I could ask for, and for always making me strive to do better. Finally, I would like to thank everyone here, truly every single one of you. Just by being here tonight, I am grateful for all of you. Thank you for listening. All right, now that the Oscars part is over, I can finally start to conclude my speech. I know that this speech took a while, but I'll hope you understand. There is truly so much I wanted to write about, so many adventures and stories of my time here. But unfortunately, I don't think that there are any words, in English at least, that can describe how much Butler means to me. I wrote this speech hundreds of times in my head, but for some reason, when I actually sat down to write this, I wasn't able to write down anything that I truly wanted to say. Today was the first day of my life where I didn't want to get out of bed. Writing this speech, I waited until the absolute last second to finish it, because I knew when I did, when I finally got up, when I finally finished writing, and then when I finally stopped talking, my time here will be over. And that means that I have to leave, that I'll have to move on, that I finally have to say goodbye. Thank you.
When I talk to Jeanette, all I can think about is how much she has grown. When I first met her, she was shy and would say a few occasional hellos. And now she's very social and talkative. Jeanette has always been very nice and generous, but there's so much more to her. She's a great chicken manager and always helps when the farmers in need. I mean, we need that. She was an awesome partner for MMUN, where she taught me how to make better resolutions, for it was just my second year there, and I was still learning about the nature of the conference. We had a lot of fun in our committee room, and it made us much closer. She also, along with being supportive, is a great friend. She always thinks of what other people are feeling, and she comforts them if they need it. Jeanette is also an amazing singer. She was great as Gloria in Madagascar, and she gets better at acting and singing every year. Even though she is leaving the little bubble that we call Butler. I'm sure she will make new friends and have a wonderful time in the Ulysses program at Northwest High School. Please give a hand for Jeanette Jarman.
Looking back at my time at Butler, my most vivid memory is my first day of school in 3rd grade. I remember my mom driving me to school as I begged her not to drop me off. I was very nervous because everyone was already a part of the close community. I didn't know if I would be included. When I finally got out of the car, I walked into the classroom and Megan asked me to sit with her. Suddenly, I wasn't nervous. I enjoyed the rest of the day as my amazing Butler journey began. Now, every time I look at the main building, I remember that day. Every time I look at the path towards the pond, I remember walking down there with friends. Every time I look at the materials from Upper Elementary, I remember working with the colorful beads. And every time I look at the park house, I remember these incredible past 2 years. All these memories hold a special place in my heart, but that would be nearly as special without all my friends beside me. Each and every person who has been in my class has affected my Butler experience for the better. When I first came to Butler, I was very shy and kept to myself. Once I became friends with everyone, I started to open up and share my opinions. When I moved up to the intermediates, I started to find my voice and participate more. Butler has continuously pushed me outside of my comfort zone, causing me to become more outgoing and adaptable. Not only has Butler changed me socially, but it has provided me with new academic passions. Because of Butler, my creative writing and research skills have grown. All of the prompts that we do in Writer's Workshop have helped me not to overthink my writing and to just express myself. I have also learned that I love research and literary analysis papers, and with practice, they're not actually so hard. Having the opportunity to pursue these academic interests have shaped me into who I am today. Butler has instilled in me new and important values. It has taught me the importance of working together and that it's okay to ask for help. I remember in Upper Elementary, I was getting a lesson, and when Ms. Wilson asked if everyone understood the concept, I said yes, even though I was still confused. Later, in a follow-up lesson, I finally admitted to Ms. Wilson that I needed help, and she explained the lesson to me again in the way that I understood it. From then on, I always asked for clarification when I needed it. I'll always be grateful for values like these that Butler has taught me. There are many people who have made my experience so meaningful, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for all their hard work, patience, and love. Thank you to Ms. Wilson for guiding me through my elementary years and being my first teacher at Butler. I'd like to thank Ms. Madsen for providing me with such amazing artistic possibilities. I'd also like to thank Mr. Powers for being an incredible PE teacher, and I'd like to thank Ms. Manick for being an amazing principal. Thank you to Ms. Madalena for giving me a passion for music. To Ms. Daly, thank you for being a great math teacher this year and helping me with any problems I had. Thank you to Ms. Downer for teaching me how to take care of the chickens and always helping me when I needed it. Thank you, Senora, for being the best parents teacher ever. I'd also like to thank Ms. Brad for being the funniest math and science teacher and spending her last year here with us. In addition, thank you to Ms. Rodden for helping me with almost every piece of writing I've written this year. Thank you to all my past classmates and my classmates this year. Everyone I've encountered here is special to me. Finally, I'd like to thank my parents for not only finding the school, but enrolling me here. When I was in 6th grade, I asked Ms. Rodden for any advice for the rising 7th years. She told me to enjoy the 2 years in the intermediates and that they would fly by faster than you could imagine. So I did, and now my time is up. I don't feel like I'm saying goodbye to Butler. I'm simply moving on. I knew my time here couldn't last forever, and that's what makes Butler so special. Even though you can't stay here forever,
The memories you make here stay in your heart forever. Thank you.
I have only known Jordan Sue for 4 years, but for those 4 years, every time he makes a joke, he always makes me laugh. Every time he draws something, I'm astounded. He's the kind of person that no matter what he does, comes out with a positive reaction. He's the kind of person that you can trust as soon as they introduce himself. Jordan Sue is an amazing person, and he's also great at many other things, such as drawing, volleyball, and writing. Even if he's not good at something, he's determined to learn. He's done that since day one. We have both been to New York for Montessori Model United Nations, or MMU1. I myself have been there twice, but Jordan has gone 1 more year than me. During my first year and his second one, we were partners. I was so nervous that we had to prepare a speech and say it in front of our entire committee. But Jordan was there and he was so confident. When he said his speech, he was not afraid to mess up or stutter, and he was not afraid to share his ideas. Soon into MMU1, everyone knew him as probably one of the smartest people in our committee. And if someone disagreed with his idea, he would not argue and try and change their minds because he knew that it was their opinion and he respected that. Jordan and I are good friends. I used to come over to his house when we were younger, and we would do everything together. We would play at the park, we would build forts, and if we wanted to play with his Nerf guns, we did that all day. He always treated me like we were family, like I was his brother. He was one of my best friends in upper elementary. We would have our own little table at school, and if I was doing something, I would be doing it with him. We would always talk and have fun together while still getting work done. When I was struggling with something, Jordan would always help me, and even now if I'm struggling, he always helps. Jordan Sue is one of my best friends, and I hope that doesn't change. I hope that he has the best time at Woodsville High School, and I hope that what he did at Butler stays with him. He's already one of the greatest people I know, and I am so happy that he went to Butler so I could meet this amazing person. We will all miss you and hope that you visit often. Please welcome Jordan Sue.
4.5 years ago, on one fateful afternoon, my mom Googled, "Cool schools for my creative kid." When she told me that there was a school on a 22-acre farm where the kids played in the creek, where the students were taught subjects they were passionate about, and where learning was hands-on, I was confused, but intrigued. Currently, I was attending public elementary school, and I had always enjoyed learning. Ever since I could pick up a pencil, I've had a love for art and self-expression. At my preschool, Wednesday was known as Montessori Day, and is my favorite day of the week. The teachers told my parents that on Montessori Day, my eyes would instantly light up because we were given art supplies and learning materials to explore. It was the day that I felt most like myself. Another thing I've always loved is being outside in nature. When I was little, my nanny used to take me to the creek behind our house, and I'd wade into the water knee-deep, splashing around. I was so immersed that I never wanted to leave. As I entered 3rd grade of public school, my love of learning was slowly washing away. Each day became routine, and I found myself wishing that the day was over. Each day became routine, and I did not want to go back. My mom had clearly noticed. That afternoon, I did not realize that the dream school she was describing would become a reality for the next 4 years. The school she had found was Butler Montessori, and so I began this amazing journey. The first time I visited Butler was surreal. I honestly did not know what to expect of the tour, and I remember being very nervous. Most of the drive to Butler, I spent playing out all the scenarios that could occur in my head. My mind was cluttered with thoughts like, are the kids going to like me? What if I throw up at lunch? Am I going to step in horse poop today? But when I walked out onto the campus, all those worries faded away. Something about this little school felt special to me. I couldn't describe the feeling Butler gave me then, and I still cannot describe it now. When I walked into the Ginny Wright Art Center, I met Mrs. Wilson, who introduced me to her class and treated me like I was already her student. I remember DJ showing me around and introducing me to all his friends. They made me feel like I had been at Butler my whole life. I spent the whole morning so engaged in the Montessori material as Zach and Landon taught me how to do cubing and multiplication on the checkerboard. At recess, I remember standing on the hill that leads down to the basketball court, admiring how serene and large the campus was and feeling a part of it. When the day had ended and my parents came to pick me up, I did not want to leave. Everything felt so different and new, yet surprisingly natural to me. Butler immediately felt like home, and I felt most like myself. Now, 4 years later, it is time for me to leave. In my time here, Butler has taught me so much and given me life lessons I'll continue to follow. I have learned how to think critically and problem solve, how to listen and work with others in a community environment, how to sustain a farm and manage a microeconomy. And I've learned how to be a better member of my community and a better person in life. I've learned these lessons through countless memories and experiences during my time here at Butler. One of my favorite memories is also one of my earliest. It was the first day of school of my first year at Butler. I spent recess down by the creek where I met Danny, Dowda, and Wyatt. We built dams and bridges across the creek while occasionally throwing rocks and slashing each other. Trust me, it was a lot of fun. I loved being down by the creek because it brought me back to the years when my nanny took me to the one behind her house. Danny, Dowda, Wyatt, and I were having so much fun, we didn't notice that everyone else had left. When we went back to school, we found out from Mrs. Wilson that we were 40 minutes late. I have to admit, it was worth it. This story has stayed with me because it was the first time that I felt immersed in nature and got to be myself. Another great experience I've had at Butler was the 6-year trip. Mrs. Wilson had recently moved me up to 6th grade, so I essentially skipped my 5th year. On one hand, I was excited to be at 6th year, and on the other, I was nervous about being in a new group. During the trip, we stayed in tents overnight and went kayaking in the morning. Landon and I had the superior tent because we decided to hang a flashlight above us. The light was a genius idea, until it kept falling on our heads, at which point we kind of gave up. Definitely superior. My favorite memory from that trip was Kayon, Amara, and Simone's midnight escapade. I remember seeing 3 shadows emerge in front of the tents. As I looked closer, I saw Kayon, Amara, and Simone holding out their shoes as if they were zombies. Mr. Powers, or Q as we call him, made them hold out their shoes because they couldn't go to sleep. It was a sight to see. This memory is not only hilarious to me, but was also the moment I realized that these people were my friends and I got to be a part of this family. I also realized that nothing has changed. Mr. Powers still makes us get up in the middle of the night to hold out our shoes. The last experience I'd like to share with you is from the California trip. Last year, our class ventured out to the Redwood Forest of California to study peace and biodiversity. However, as we found out, the trip was much more than a study. During our time at Caritas Creek, we participated in activities known as serendipities. The word serendipity means finding something beautiful without looking for it. In these serendipities, we sat around in a circle and learned more about each other. We saw each other for who we really are. In one of those serendipities, we were asked to write a letter to a person we had not seen in a very long time. I chose to write my letter to a good friend from public school. In that letter, I told him how much I missed hanging out together, and how my experience in the intermediates was so different than that one of public school. I told him how different I had become. I think that by writing that letter, I was letting go of my old friends and my old self. I chose these 3 experiences to share with you because they have played the biggest role in shaping me into the person standing in front of you tonight.
Butler has really helped me grow and has brought out the best in me. It has taught me to be who I am and not who I am supposed to be. I owe so much to my teachers, friends, and family who have guided me along this incredible journey. I'd like to thank all my teachers who have helped me grow as a student and as a person. Mrs. Manick, Mr. Powers, Mrs. Downer, Mrs. Matson, Mrs. Madalena, Mrs. Daly, Senora Castillo, Ms. Schillinger, Mrs. Wilson, Ms. Bradford, and Ms. Rodman, thank you. You've guided me and helped me become a better learner, leader, and listener. You've made my experience at Butler incredible and ever more special. I'd also like to thank my family here at Butler. I'm so glad to have shared these memories with you guys. We have laughed together, played together, occasionally fought with each other, and have grown up together. Thank you for always supporting me. You guys are my family. Now for my biological family. I'd like to thank my grandparents, 爷爷奶奶、婆婆公公。我要感谢你们，你们做了这么多的牺牲，所以我可以成功。I'd also like to thank my nanny Aqua, who took care of me for 10 years. Aqua, 谢谢你照顾我10年，你总是担心我吃饱了，还是我喜欢学校。你也教我好多东西，你教我如何画画和如何创作，你教我如何成为自己。谢谢，我爱你一辈子。Finally, I'd like to thank my parents. Without them, I'd not be here, quite literally. Baba, thank you for everything you do for our family. You have taught me so much, even during the times I don't listen. You always make sure that I am okay and care for me when I am not. Mom, thank you for supporting every decision I make. You have provided for our family and have given me great opportunities. Thank you both for helping me find my own path. Every day this past week, I've been reminding myself of the saying we learned at Caritas Creek in California. As the saying goes, don't count the days, make the days count. Every day I've spent here at Butler counts. Butler is so much more than a school. It is my home, and the people here are my family. I'll never forget the lessons I've learned, the friends I've made, the teachers who have helped me grow, and the memories I cherish. Memories of the creek, the 6-year trip, the California trip, and countless others. The sun is setting on another day of my life as it sets here on my time at Butler. I would not be the same Jordan Sue without the school. As we learned in California, the word serendipity means finding something beautiful without looking for it. Finding Butler was a serendipity for me. The last thought I'd like to share is that Butler has given me a compass to carry as I walk the road of life. No matter where that road takes me, I'll always find my way home. Thank you.
Although the 8th graders really connected with their class last year, they kindly welcomed us into the intermediate environment. They saw this year as a new beginning and not as an end. I would like to say, on behalf of all the 7th graders, that the 8th graders really made this year exciting and fun for us. They gave us advice on how hard the schoolwork would be and how to manage our time doing homework. It was extremely helpful, and I know that it assisted all of the 7th graders throughout the school year. Every 8th grader is very different, but one thing they have in common is that they all have a great sense of humor. Whenever any of us were in a bad mood, whether or not the 8th graders used comedy or sympathy, they would always find a way to cheer us up. I'm going to wrap this up because I think that everyone is probably getting hungry, right? Or maybe it's just me. I want all of the 8th graders to know that even though they are leaving next year, they should not change themselves. Whenever any of them are in need, I want them to know that they can always come back to Butler. Through all the laughing, crying, teasing, and arguments about movies, the 8th graders have made our community special. Congratulations on graduating from Butler Montessori, and we will miss you dearly. Thank you.
Every year, I get to say a few words about the current class of intermediates, including how special and truly inspiring they are to me. And this year is no exception. This amazing group of young people sitting around me are more than just a class. They are the truest definition of community and of family. From bonding in the pouring rain during the fall trip, to navigating New York City and Montessori Model United Nations, and everything in between. This class has approached every experience with enthusiasm, passion, and determination. In every four-corner debate, every seminar, every play rehearsal, and every game of Park House Hide and Seek, I have seen this community grow stronger, grow closer, and grow even more loving and caring every single day. And I didn't think it was possible for them to become even more bonded than they already were. Behind me, the intermediates have chosen to visually depict their year together as a path. It is both a representation of the journey they have been on together, and also serves as a reminder that even though they have been lucky enough to walk this path together for a time, their adventures are only just beginning. It has been a privilege for me to watch these amazing young people grow and transform not only themselves, but the entire community around them every single day. I would now like to take a moment to introduce someone very special who has been an invaluable member of the Butler Montessori community for over 20 years and is this year's graduation speaker, Kenna Bradford. Kenna has given so much of herself to this community in so many different ways. As a parent of two wonderful Montessori children, as both an upper elementary and intermediate teacher to countless students over the past 14 years, and as a mentor and friend to all those who have had the privilege to know and to work with her. She shares a very special bond with her students over her love of animals, her passion for science and math, and her wonderful sense of humor. Every student has learned from Ms. Bradford that when you break a pencil, it goes on the tray of shame. That all bugs must be captured and set free outside, never killed. And, quoting Oscar Wilde, to be yourself because everyone else is taken. I think that every student who has had the opportunity to learn from Ms. Bradford would agree that she is not only a phenomenal teacher, but someone who exemplifies qualities of kindness, generosity, passion, and strength that we all would be wise to emulate. On behalf of everyone here at Butler Montessori, I want to say thank you, Kenna, for everything you have given this school over the past 20 years. We wish you all the best as you transition to your next adventure in New Hampshire, and we will miss you very, very much. Please welcome to the stage, Kenna Bradford.
Thank you, Emma, for those loving words, which I can't say too much about, or I'll start crying. And I'm thinking maybe I should rethink the retirement gigs, as apparently a stand-up comedian. I didn't know that, but I'm going to think about that. The graduation speaker has several responsibilities. He or she is supposed to impart words of wisdom to the 8th years. But this class has been listening to my wisdom for 2 years, so they're over it. Plus, as you've heard in their speeches, they don't need any more advice. But I do plan on passing on a few additional tidbits. Another responsibility of the graduation speaker is to talk about how his or her experience at Butler changed them and helped them in their next stage of life, high school or college. Well, I'm a little beyond that, but like the Butler graduates, I too am starting out on a new journey. So I do want to talk about how my 20 years at Butler has changed me and prepared me for this next stage of life. And these lessons apply to the graduates as well. I started at Butler as a parent of 2 primary children back in 1998. I had read about Montessori prior to enrolling them, so I had a good idea about the Montessori philosophy. But what I saw in their day-to-day life as they moved from primary through elementary and intermediate surpassed my expectations. Their joy and their interest in learning, not only in academic subjects, but also in larger life lessons, reinforced my opinion that grades and tests and report cards and class standings, all of these were somewhat superficial measures of achievement. The real measures were in their excitement in going to school, their ability to discuss what they learned, and their desire to want to talk to me about what they learned, to tell me what their class had been like, what their day had been like. It was this experience that I shared with them that made me quit a lucrative IT job to go back to school and become a Montessori teacher. And as a Montessori teacher, the lessons I've learned here are priceless, and I've learned as much as I've taught. So what have I learned? First, when I became a Montessori teacher, there was not only the thrill of relearning so much that I had forgotten or maybe had never learned, but then turning around and igniting interest in my students with this knowledge. And no, not everyone was as excited about photosynthesis or algebra or grammar boxes as I was. But usually there was enough buzz in my classroom to know that learning was taking place. That is an incredible feeling as a teacher, and I want to thank all my students for giving me that pleasure, those on the stage as well as those of you out in the audience. So my first bit of advice to my graduating class, although this is not in your immediate future, when the time comes, find a career that provides you with a reason to get up in the morning and that brings you great satisfaction, and no, it's not necessarily about the money. Secondly, as a teacher, I gained an understanding of the hard work a child does to achieve a goal. For some students, the academic work and the social interaction comes easy. For others, it is a mountain to scale, and it is in that hard work, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, that makes the achievement meaningful. I do want the graduates to keep that in mind, as each of them will at some point encounter a mountain, and the effort to scale that mountain, that problem, will make the success all the more sweet. So second advice is don't forego trying new things because you might fail, and never give up. A third lesson for me, the extraordinary importance of community, of working with people who share the same passion as you. That is a wonderful gift and motivator. As you've heard tonight, the graduates know that having a community of friends, classmates, and teachers was instrumental to their growth here at Butler. I learned the same lesson, working with other adults who share my passion for teaching and for young people have been something that I have appreciated every day that I've driven down our long driveway. My best friends work here, and I want to thank all of them for being here for me, supporting me, sharing laughs and tears with me. And although I cannot thank all of them individually tonight, I do want to give a shout out to Eric Powers for being here. And a special thank you to Laura Manick and her mother, Lois Spellman, for giving us this haven of nature known as Butler Montessori. So for the graduates, Even though you are sadly leaving this community, there will be other communities in your future. You will find kindred spirits in high school, college, wherever you go, if you keep your hearts open to the possibility of new friends and new adventures. Finally, the lesson experience that's most dear to my heart, the surprising joy, yes, joy, of working with young adolescents every day. They are a group that seldom get positive recognition in society, but these young people continue to amaze, influence, and inspire me by their open-mindedness, their compassion, and their passion for good causes. And although I know those passions might be tempered in the future by adult life and responsibilities, I hope they find outlets for those ideas and hopes that they feel the most strongly about. The great things these graduates do will not necessarily be touted loudly, but will be in their day-to-day lives and how they treat others and the world around them, the planet. So class, stay passionate about some cause, devote time to it no matter how busy you are. Don't lose the fire in your belly. Okay, enough advice for these kids. But I do have some final thoughts for the parents in the audience. For the parents of my current and former students, thank you for your trust, your support, and for the blessing of having your children to teach. For any other parents out there, I don't know if there are, but especially if you're relatively new to Butler, a Montessori education is a tremendous gift to give your children. I ask you to trust the Montessori philosophy, to trust the teachers, but most important, to trust your child. They will show you, like my kids did, the true measures of a good education. Thank you very much. They were supposed to take notes, there'll be a pop. We will now present diplomas to each of our graduates. These diplomas signify the hard work, the dedication, and the passion that each of them has shown during all of their years here. The diplomas also remind the students that although today marks their last day as a Butler student, there will always be a place for them in our community. Our first graduate, Kehan Bhatti. Andrew Cho. Landon Fiery. Jeanette Jarman. Amara Merzat.
Declan O'Brien. Jordan Sue. And last but certainly not least, Simone Thompson.
Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2019. I promise, they'll come out again in 1 second. The intermediates will be concluding the ceremony by singing their final song, We Know the Way, from Moana. A special request for this year's graduation. After the intermediates have processed out of the room, I've asked them to come back, and I would like to ask every student that Ms. Bradford has had that is here at graduation to join us on the stage after graduation so that we can get a picture.